Bonjour à tous et bienvenue pour un webinaire aujourd'hui sur le marché du numérique en santé en Finlande. Nous avons l'honneur d'avoir trois intervenants qui sont venus de Finlande pour ce webinaire pour nous présenter les mécanismes d'accès au marché. On va commencer par une présentation par Paula Nurmi qui travaille chez Findata. Findata est très connu depuis plusieurs années parce que c'est connu d'être le point d'accès, le guichet unique d'accès aux données de santé et données sociales en Finlande. Et donc, Paola Nurmi, elle est experte spécialisée donc à Findata. Elle va nous parler du système de santé finlandais, mais aussi des solutions numériques utilisées pour la santé dans le Patient Repository, qui est utilisé en Finlande. Et elle va aussi nous parler de comment l'utilisation secondaire a aussi aidé à créer un écosystème très solide du numérique en santé. Ensuite, nous aurons une présentation plus business, orientée business, donc par Päivi Antila, qui est donc Senior Advisor, qui travaille chez Business Finland, qui a donc une section qui s'appelle Invest in Finland, donc qui aide les entreprises justement à s'implanter en Finlande. Elle va nous expliquer comment ça se passe, l'accès au marché en Finlande. Et ce sera complété par l'entrepreneur Mikael Rinetmäki, qui est fondateur de Sensotrend, qui est une start-up qui aide les personnes qui sont atteintes de diabète, donc grâce à des applications intelligentes. Et Mikael soutient aussi beaucoup des initiatives informatiques. Il est ambassadeur de FHIR et de HL7 en Finlande. Et il est lui-même atteint de diabète type 1 et donc très versé dans ce domaine-là. Et pourra bien vous conseiller sur aussi comment accéder au marché. Il a une vision très globale quels sont un peu les obstacles, mais aussi les opportunités de ce marché, d'un point de vue non seulement finlandais, mais aussi européen. Et bien sûr, on aura Vincent Vercamer qui est pilote Genius ici à la délégation numérique en santé en lien avec l'ANS, l'Agence du numérique en santé. Et moi-même, donc je m'appelle Louisa Stuve, je suis aussi à la DNS et je travaille sur le sujet européen. Et donc, c'est parti pour notre webinaire. Je passe la parole maintenant à Paula pour nous parler du système de santé finlandais et de Findata.
Merci Louisa pour l'introduction. Je vais partager mon écran. Juste un moment, si vous pouvez me dire si ça marche bien. Vous voyez?
Ça marche bien?
OK, très bien. Donc, bonjour tout le monde. Je m'appelle Paula Nurmi. Je travaille, comme Louisa a dit, chez Findata comme experte spécialisée. Et je vais vous dire tout de suite que le français, ce n'est pas ma langue professionnelle, mais j'espère que vous pouvez quand même bien me comprendre. Alors, d'abord, quelques mots sur le système de santé publique en Finlande. C'est un système qui est sur une base régionale. Donc, nous avons 23 acteurs régionaux qui sont chargés de l'organisation des soins de santé. Ça veut dire les soins de santé primaires, mais aussi les soins de santé spécialisés. Et en plus aussi, ils sont chargés de l'organisation des services sociaux, des services de secours et des soins d'urgence. Et ici, vous voyez la carte de la Finlande. Donc, ça, c'est les 23 acteurs régionaux qui sont chargés de l'organisation des soins de santé et des soins sociaux. Et donc, quelle est la différence en Finlande entre les soins de santé primaires et spécialisés? Donc, les soins de santé primaires, ils sont principalement dispensés dans les centres de santé régionaux. Et ces soins, ils comprennent la surveillance de la santé publique et en plus les services de santé essentiels, par exemple les consultations prénatales, infantiles, santé scolaire, santé ambulatoire généraux, santé dentaire, réadaptation, etc. Et le traitement d'un patient, il est assuré en fonction du niveau de soins qui est requis. Donc, le médecin, il va évaluer le besoin du patient et si nécessaire, il va l'orienter vers les soins médicaux spécialisés si le patient a besoin des soins donc plus spécialisés qu'offrent les soins de santé primaires. Et donc, les soins médicaux spécialisés, ils sont principalement dispensés dans les hôpitaux. Et donc, comme le nom le dit, il concerne le diagnostic et les traitements de problèmes de santé plus complexes qu'on peut proposer dans les soins primaires. Par exemple, toutes les interventions chirurgicales, etc. et l'accès aux soins spécialisés nécessite généralement toujours une orientation depuis les soins de santé primaires. Donc, c'est un parcours structuré pour les soins. En plus, nous avons 5 centres hospitaliers universitaires, donc à Helsinki, Turku, Tampere, Kuopio et Oulu. Et ça, les centres hospitaliers universitaires, ce sont des centres d'excellence en soins spécialisés qui assurent les traitements les plus complexes, donc par exemple oncologie, transplantation d'organes, etc. Et ces hôpitaux universitaires, ils ont 3 rôles principaux. Donc, bien sûr, les soins, mais aussi la formation en collaboration avec les universités, donc la formation des futurs médecins, infirmières, autres professionnels de santé. Et en plus, ils sont chargés de la recherche et du développement. Donc, ils sont toujours conjoints aux universités où on peut... oui, ils sont conjoints aux universités. Donc, ils font beaucoup de recherche et développement. Ça, c'était un très courte présentation sur les services de santé. Mais après, quelques mots sur ce qui est assez exceptionnel quand même, c'est la base de données nationale qui s'appelle Kanta. Donc, Kanta, c'est une base de données qui fonctionne au niveau national. Et ça, donc, grâce à ces services, Kanta, les données des patients, ils circulent entre les différentes parties. Donc, par exemple, les données circulent entre les différents services de soins, mais aussi il y a la possibilité pour les patients, les usagers, de voir consulter leurs propres données en toute sécurité. Et aussi, comme c'est une base de données nationale, bien sûr, ça facilite l'utilisation des données, par exemple, pour la recherche et pour la gestion fondée sur des données, comme c'est une seule base où il y a les données au niveau national. Et donc, comment ça se passe, la circulation des données dans Kanta? Donc, les professionnels des services sociaux et des services de la santé, ils saisissent et ils consultent les données dans leur propre système d'information. Mais en même temps, ces données sont aussi enregistrées dans Kanta, où elles peuvent être consultées par les autres professionnels de services qui travaillent dans les autres organisations, mais aussi par les citoyens eux-mêmes. Donc, les citoyens peuvent eux-mêmes consulter et gérer leurs propres données dans Kanta. Et grâce à Kanta, la circulation des données entre les organisations différentes a été multipliée par plus de 10 pendant 8 ans. Et par exemple, pour les pharmacies et les services de santé publique, Kanta est utilisé dans 100% des services. Et par exemple, pour les ordonnages de médicaments, c'est 100% d'ordonnages qui sont en forme électrique et ils sont tous enregistrés dans Kanta. Et alors ensuite, je vais parler un peu de la recherche et de l'innovation dans le secteur de la santé en Finlande et qu'est-ce qu'il y a comme possibilité chez nous. Donc d'abord, ce qui est assez exceptionnel, c'est qu'en Finlande, nous avons un identifiant personnel unique. Donc chaque citoyen en Finlande dispose d'un tel identifiant et il est utilisé dans l'ensemble des services, que ce soit les services de santé ou des services sociaux, mais aussi, par exemple, pour l'éducation, toutes les choses fiscales et tout ça. Donc, ça permet à lier les données enregistrées dans différents registres, à les lier ensemble grâce à cet identifiant personnel unique. Donc, quel que soit le registre, il y a les personnes enregistrées seront toujours enregistrées en utilisant cet identifiant personnel unique. En plus, ici, on a des bases de données en plus que Conta, mais aussi d'autres bases de données qui sont très, très riches et très complètes. Par exemple, notre registre national sur les oncologies, il date depuis 1953, donc, et c'est en forme numérique. Donc, ça donne la possibilité de vraiment regarder les dates en forme longitudinale et aussi les données, ils couvrent l'ensemble de la population grâce à l'identifiant personnel unique. Et ça a été et c'est toujours très systématique que ces données sont produites dans tous les services publics selon des standards très élevés. Donc, ces bases de données sont très fiables et très cohérentes. Donc, ça, c'est une très belle ressource pour la recherche, mais aussi, bien sûr, pour l'évaluation des politiques, l'innovation et tout ça. En plus, en Finlande, nous avons une législation assez habilitante pour la recherche. Et donc, je vais en parler de trois lois. La loi sur l'utilisation secondaire des données sociales et de santé, mais aussi quelques mots sur la loi sur les biobanques. Et en Finlande, les activités de recherche et d'innovation, c'est possible pour les acteurs académiques, aussi pour les acteurs commerciaux, les acteurs nationaux, mais aussi les acteurs internationaux. En plus, les Finlandais, selon des recherches, par exemple de l'OECD, nos attitudes sont favorables à l'utilisation secondaire de nos données de santé et nous avons forte confiance aux bénéfices de la recherche. Donc, on pense que la recherche, ça va nous donner une meilleure qualité de soins de santé. Et aussi, on a confiance à la sécurité de la protection de nos données. Alors, la loi sur l'utilisation secondaire des données sociales et de santé, c'est très similaire à le EEDS. Et donc, grâce à cette loi, les données peuvent être utilisées pour la recherche scientifique, les statistiques, activités de développement et d'innovation, etc. Et l'utilisation se passe à la base d'une autorisation. Donc, le consentement des personnes est présupposé, mais bien sûr, en même temps, ils ont le droit à s'opposer à cause grâce à la RGDP. Donc, c'est un principe de opt-out, mais on n'a pas besoin de consentement des citoyens pour pouvoir utiliser leurs données, par exemple, pour la recherche scientifique. Et donc, à cause de cette loi, la loi, elle stipule les responsabilités de l'autorité qui est chargée des autorisations, et ça, c'est FinData, où je travaille. Donc, c'est une autorité centralisée qui donne des autorisations pour l'utilisation secondaire des données de santé en Finlande. Et nous, on vise à améliorer l'accès aux données nationaux riches, mais en même temps à renforcer la sécurité des données ainsi que la protection des données des individus soit très forte. Donc, on vise à améliorer l'accès, mais quand même en même temps renforcer la sécurité de l'utilisation. Oui, donc ça, c'est nos services. Mais je vais passer à la loi sur les biobanques en Finlande. Donc, la loi sur les biobanques, c'est un cadre juridique pour la collection, le traitement, le stockage des échantillons biologiques humains pour les fins de recherche. Donc, ça permet qu'on puisse regrouper des échantillons, qu'on puisse collectionner des échantillons biologiques, mais en même temps les lier à des données, par exemple de santé ou sociale. Et oui, quelques mots sur ce qui rend les biobanques finlandaises assez uniques, c'est qu'en plus que nous avons des échantillons de différentes sortes de sang, de ADN, des tissus, cellules, tout ça, mais aussi il y a la possibilité de lier ces échantillons aux données cliniques dans les bases de données nationales, mais aussi régionales. En plus, les biobanques finlandaises, elles ont des données de génotypage de plus que 520 000 personnes. Et ces données de génotypage peuvent aussi être réutilisées pour des fins de recherche. Et aussi, c'est possible de recontacter les donneurs biobanques sur la base des données ou, par exemple, sur la base des informations de génotypage. Donc, il serait possible, si vous êtes intéressé à un certain génotype, de sélectionner les donneurs qui ont ce génotype et de les identifier et de les demander de partager, par exemple, aux essais cliniques. Donc, ça, c'est quelque chose qui est assez différent que dans les autres pays. Et ça, c'est juste un petit exemple d'un projet qui a été fait en Finlande. Donc, on a recontacté les donneurs d'échantillons des biobanques. Et justement, ça a été ciblé sur certains génotypes. Donc, oui, ça, c'est juste un petit exemple que qu'est-ce qui est possible grâce à cette législation assez
Alors là,
habilitante. Oui.
c'est vraiment super intéressant sur ce qui se passe aussi sur les biobanques en lien avec FinData. Est-ce qu'il y a un message que tu aimerais faire passer ici aux entrepreneurs qui vont vouloir s'exporter en Finlande?
Oui, n'hésitez pas de contacter. Surtout, je trouve que les biobanques, pour les essais cliniques, ça facilite beaucoup de recruter, de recontacter les personnes on peut vraiment cibler sur une certaine population parce que c'est possible de sélectionner les personnes grâce aux données qui sont déjà dans les biobanques. Donc, et pour ça, il y a un service qui s'appelle FinGenius et c'est possible de contacter toutes les biobanques en Finlande grâce à ce service. Donc, on essaie de le faire facile pour les entreprises. Oui. Donc,
Merci
ça,
beaucoup.
c'était ma présentation. Beaucoup de choses,
Merci
beaucoup, beaucoup de choses.
infiniment.
Oui. Et si vous avez des questions, on pourra y revenir à la fin du webinaire, n'est-ce pas?
Oui, exactement, Paula. Et franchement, félicitations. Ton niveau de français est remarquable.
Ah, merci.
On a beaucoup de chance et aussi grâce à l'ambassade de Finlande ici à Paris avec Henrika Lie-Helio, j'espère que j'ai bien prononcé, qu'on a pu te trouver, enfin, Paula, d'avoir quelqu'un de francophone à FinData. Je pense que les entrepreneurs ont vraiment apprécié ça. Et c'était vraiment très intéressant cette présentation en français du coup du système de santé et le système de données de santé aussi en Finlande. Merci beaucoup. Les questions à la fin du webinaire. Et sinon, tu disais qu'il y a un mail qui s'appelle
Oui,
info@findata.fi. Donc, j'imagine qu'il y a énormément de demandes. Il y a beaucoup de demandes, des délais aussi assez importants au vu de la charge de travail. Donc, les gens pourront peut-être s'adresser à ce mail-là. Et
oui,
sinon, poser les questions plus tard.
oui,
Merci
c'est
encore
ça.
une fois, Paula. C'était vraiment très intéressant. On passe maintenant au volet business et on aura donc Päivi Antila, donc qui est Senior Advisor chez Business Finland in Invest in Finland. So we switched to English, but we expect that if you would like to export yourselves to Finland, that you have a more or less a level of English to understand the following presentation. And we're very glad to have you and to say a few things about how the market works in Finland. And this will then be completed by our other speaker, who is actually an entrepreneur, Mikael. Oh, the floor is to you, Päivi.
Thank you so much. So my name is Päivi Antila, and I'm senior advisor at Invest in Finland, as you heard. And today I will be talking about the Finnish health ecosystem and market access. And just a few words about my background. So we are celebrating the midsummer weekend this weekend. So everyone is going to their summer cottages by the lakeside or by the seaside. So that's why I chose that picture. So let's get started. Paula already gave a very good presentation of why to come to Finland. So as a recap, and adding a few things. So we have a strong political support for e-health, and the government is aiming to shift healthcare towards prevention and empowerment of patients, and of course reducing costs. And as the population is aging, we really need this kind of new digital innovations in Finland. And as you heard, we have this quite unique culture of trust, so it's easy to find patients who are willing to take part in medical research in Finland, and the availability of data is very unique. Then we also have a strong AI and data science and research ecosystem in Finland. And as you already heard, the access to data is easy through FinData, and the legislation is very much making it easier both for research and for private companies. And everything exists in digital format, which is of course a very valuable asset also in terms of R&D. And here you can see that Finland is leading the way in Europe in digitalization, and the availability of latest technologies and scientists and engineers in Finland is top notch. So we are traditionally an engineering country with very strong engineering education. And interestingly, health technology is actually the biggest high-tech export segment for Finland. Here you can see a little bit about the company landscape in Finland. We have about 550 companies within health technology. That might not sound so big, but we are a country of 5.5 million inhabitants, so it's quite a nice number. Many of them are very international, thinking of exports from the early phase, and in terms of collaboration, I think they are also open to foreign partners as well. Then of course we have the pharma industry sector, many of them global companies that are operating in Finland. And then a big healthcare and welfare services sector, which is mainly a domestic industry, and then the IT companies. Here you can see some of the global players that are in Finland. For example, Bayer is developing and producing some of their best-selling products in Turku on the west coast of Finland. And from the technology side, for example, GE Healthcare has also big R&D facilities here in Finland. Then a few things maybe you didn't know. We have one of the lowest tax rates in Europe. The community tax has been at 20%, and it will be lowered to 18% in the beginning of 27, I think. Then we are also the only Nordic country with the euro as currency. And we have highly skilled brain power at a very competitive cost. So you might easily think that the Nordic countries are expensive, but actually Finland is, in terms of labor costs, we are quite cheap even, I would say. So here is a comparison of a software development center. You can see that we are there, not that far from France, but a little bit cheaper in terms of labor. So that's of course also a bonus if you are thinking of, for example, R&D here. Then a few words about the partners who you could work with in Finland and where you could pilot your products. So the university hospitals, as you saw in Paula's presentation, we have 5 of them, and they are kind of the core of the system, and they also host these test beds and innovation networks. And they are the centers of excellence. So most kind of specialized care is conducted within the university hospitals, and they collaborate a lot with health companies. So they are also innovation hubs and of course key key sources for health data linked to biobanks. And then also training for healthcare professionals, and all the kind of highest level research is done within the university hospitals. All of them have a bit kind of different specialization areas. So for example, in Helsinki, we have the Comprehensive Cancer Center, then other areas including neuroscience, pediatric care, and digital health and AI. Then in Tampere University Hospital, they are specialized in robotics and smart surgery, trauma, rehabilitation, and clinical trials and R&D, which is of course in other hospitals as well. Then Turku University Hospital on the West Coast, they are specialized in genomics and personalized medicine, rare diseases, reproductive health. That's where the Bayer is also located, and then biobank and health data use. And Kuopio University Hospital in the eastern part of Finland, they are specialized in neuroscience, rehabilitation, medical imaging and diagnostics, and mental health research. And finally, Oulu University Hospital in the northern part of Finland, they are very strong in remote health services and telemedicine, cold climate medicine, pediatric care, and digital innovations and smart hospitals. Here you can see all the test beds on a map. So there is one in each university hospital, but then there is also a few additional ones located, for example, within the universities of applied sciences. And these test beds basically work as a real-life hospital environment for co-creation for companies and research institutes. You can use them in every phase of your innovation process. So if you already have a product on the market, or once you are still kind of developing a new product. And the kind of best thing you can get out of them is the real life feedback. So you get real user experiences and clinical proof to support in your design decisions and prototyping. And as I mentioned, there is a couple of additional ones besides the university hospital test beds. I just wanted to point out this ICA ecosystem, which is quite interesting for digital innovation. So they are located in Kajaani, and that's where we have one of the world's most powerful supercomputers called LUMI. So this innovation hub is kind of specialized in this AI and supercomputing and data analytics, and they have great resources for that kind of development work if you are interested. And then on the national level, we have the Clever Health Network, which is hosted by Helsinki University Hospital. It's a digital health and well-being ecosystem where companies and healthcare experts can develop better treatment solutions together. And these innovations are based on the extensive data from Helsinki University Hospital and then also their clinical experts working on them. And the innovations take place in different development projects that are established within the ecosystem. And there you can see some of the partners and projects on this picture. Then about medical technology procurement. So we have these 21 well-being services counties in Finland that are responsible of the health and social services, and they are also responsible of the procurement of different technology solutions for their own regions. And whether it's used in hospitals or at home, it's usually the well-being services counties that are the buyers, but it depends a bit on the county if they also acquire these home care devices or not. And maybe one thing to note is that the kind of planning timeline is very long, so they need to plan investments already 4 years beforehand. So that's good to know if you work with the public side. The law requires that the chosen device or service provider must be decided based on either the lowest price or most economically advantageous tender. So this aims to keep the prices relatively low. And currently there is no pricing or reimbursement mechanisms, but currently the Ministry of Social Affairs and Health is actually they have just launched this kind of pilot to pilot the reimbursement of digital treatments. So that's quite interesting to see how that will turn out. And all appropriate tenderers with CE mark approval can participate, but it's good to know that it will take some resources, so to prepare for that. And in Finland, we acknowledge that we do need new innovations within digital health. So in that sense, I think we are quite open to foreign companies coming to Finland, and most of the services are available in English, which is of course good thing. But still, I would encourage to engage locally, so to have a partner in Finland or hire a local person here or join some of the local initiatives. So that way it will be easier to get or access the Finnish market. And also the industry associations provide, for example, procurement-related training. So those could be very useful for you. Then we also, of course, have the private side. So about 22% of the whole health and social services are provided by private providers. I will not go that much into detail here. The sales is basically ordinary B2B sales if you are selling to the private side, or you could also think of some pilot project together with the private companies. And the biggest providers include Terveystalo, Mehiläinen and Pihlajalinna, and then of course smaller private clinics and independent specialists. Then finally, a few things about digital health. So remote services are widely accepted and available in Finland. All the major private providers operate digital clinics, and there is a strong culture of self-care and preventive health. So the market is quite receptive for wellness apps or different kind of digital therapeutics. And in general, I would say that as Finns, we have a quite positive attitude towards using mobile health tools. And also the national infrastructure supports this. For example, in the Kanta PHR service, we can nowadays insert the data from the wellness apps. So that's also kind of interesting. Then the HTA and Digi-HTA. So that means the health technology assessment. So that's a systematic way of evaluating medical technology. And this is an EU regulation. Maybe you already know about this, but the EU regulation just entered into force in the beginning of this year. But currently it's only applying to some medicinal products, and beginning of next year, selected high-risk medical devices. But Digi-HTA is a bit different. That's a national initiative that was commissioned by the Finnish Ministry of Social Affairs and Health. And it aims to provide the healthcare decision makers with this kind of assessment method when they are assessing the suitability of a solution for the Finnish market. So that's a completely voluntary evaluation and has been running in Finland since, well, for about 5 years. Here you can see some of the domains that are assessed, and this is all free of charge for companies. It will be carried out by the coordination unit together with Oulu University, and it will result in this kind of report where you can see if the product is recommended for adoption in the Finnish healthcare or not. And from your company perspective, I think it could be useful that this way you can demonstrate the suitability of the product or service to the Finnish market, and you could also use it in the product development. The process starts with this kind of joint meeting where the necessary documentation and timetables are decided on. And then finally, you will be able to review the assessment in detail together with the experts before it will be published. So there is an email address, and we can also share the website if you are interested to find out more about this. So as a summary, how to come to the Finnish market. So you could think about using one of the test beds within the university hospitals or the extra ones like the Aika ecosystem, or then joining the Clever Health Network projects within the Helsinki University Hospital, or participating in public tenders, or then piloting together with one of the private providers. And something that is maybe quite unique for Finland is that we have a very strong network of facilitators, as we are a small country and rather small market. So I think the health ecosystem is very, very tight. So there are regional hubs and incubators and industry associations that are willing to help companies who are based here in Finland. So that's also maybe a good reason to think about if you are really interested in the Finnish market. At some point, think about a branch or subsidiary in Finland, because there is many kind of services that are then available once you are registered in Finland. And then also, of course, my organization, Business Finland, we are supporting all the companies who are interested to start a business in Finland. From the Invest in Finland side, we can provide different kind of data and networks and advice for setting up a business and finding the right location and so forth. And then once you are here, our organization also provides a variety of funding for different kind of R&D projects. So that's something we can then also tell you more about. But that's all from my side. Here's my contact details. I will be happy to reply any inquiries afterwards. So thank you for now.
Thank you so much, Päivi. This was really, really interesting and well-organized presentation, and gives all the information necessary to access the market, at least from what has to be checked before and to be ready to make a decision, actually. I wanted to also let people know that, well, you have Business Finland, but in France we also have Business France, as you might know, and that there's also support given to entrepreneurs to export themselves. There's actually currently for France 2030 laureates, also support to go to international conferences to get support to get exported. So you might also reach out to them, but obviously Business France and Business Finland work hand in hand and to make this kind of European single market a reality. And especially when it comes to digital health, this is very interesting and relevant for us. Now, before we see the reality of all of this with Mikael, who will speak about actually how the market access really works, theory versus practice, we'll have the pleasure of having Julien. Donc, on aura Julien qui va présenter Genius. Alors, parce que ça fait partie de la série de webinaires de Genius et il va nous dire ce que c'est. Over to you. On t'entend pas. On voit ton partage d'écran de la page Genius en attendant.
C'est bon.
C'est bon.
Alors, je vais vous parler de Genius. Donc, merci pour ces deux présentations qui étaient super intéressantes. Donc, Genius, qu'est-ce que c'est? Je ne sais pas si vous connaissez ou pas. Genius, c'est le site qui est là pour aider les innovateurs à justement comprendre comment fonctionne le système français, comment trouver les bons financements en France, comment trouver les financements européens, les financements régionaux, à voir quels sont les acteurs à contacter en France, au bon moment, pourquoi faire. Et aussi, on a tout ce qui est actualité, les événements qui peuvent se passer à côté de chez vous et même ailleurs. Et notamment, ces webinaires étaient présents dans la liste des événements. Mais Genius, ça sert aussi aux personnes qui souhaitent s'exporter de France à l'étranger via un service qui s'appelle la e-santé à l'international, où en fait on liste tous les pays européens. Donc il y en a régulièrement qui s'ajoutent. Et en fait, vous allez un peu retrouver les informations précieuses qu'on vous a dit aujourd'hui, notamment sur la page Finlande que j'ai partagée sur le Teams. Et donc, vous pouvez voir les informations. Donc, sur Genius, la ligne éditoriale, c'est d'aller à l'essentiel, ne pas perdre de temps, vraiment être focus sur les informations. Donc, c'est vraiment, vous n'allez pas être un expert de la e-santé en Finlande, mais vous aurez vraiment les bonnes premières, le petit coup de pouce qui vous aidera pour démarrer ce voyage. Et vous avez la même chose pour de nombreux pays. Donc, il y a bien sûr presque toute l'Europe déjà. Et je vous laisserai aller y jeter un œil. Et si vous êtes anglophone, Genius est traduit intégralement en anglais avec le bouton anglais. Vous retrouvez les mêmes pages, etc. Si vous êtes un peu perdu et que vous avez justement des questions assez spécifiques, vous ne savez pas où aller sur Genius, vous avez en bas à droite un chatbot qui vous permet de poser toutes les questions et il vous répondra en vous indiquant les pages correspondantes à votre question qui peuvent vous aider. Donc, n'hésitez pas à aller sur Genius. Et chose très importante, c'est qu'on a un compte LinkedIn que je vais vous partager sur le chat. Et ce compte est assez important pour vous parce que c'est là où on va publier les nouvelles choses, les nouvelles fiches, les nouveaux webinaires. Dès qu'il y a une actualité, on va le publier dessus. Vous allez aussi retrouver tout le résumé de ce webinaire de manière très synthétique et on y aura aussi le replay qui sera disponible. Donc, vous pouvez retrouver tout ça très bientôt et on se retrouve sur Genius. Et si d'ici là, vous avez des questions, il ne faut pas hésiter à nous contacter. Louisa, je te redonne la parole.
Merci, et c'était super de présenter Genius et on espère que tout le monde se connectera régulièrement sur ce site. Et d'ailleurs, les pages internationales vont continuer à s'agrandir. On n'a pas encore tous les 27. On a déjà d'autres pays d'ailleurs au-delà de l'Union européenne, mais on aura un jour les 27 parce qu'on est en train de compléter ça aussi. Bref, d'autres webinaires aussi à venir. En attendant ça, Mikael, now we're switching to you. You've heard the presentation from Paula from FinData about the Finnish healthcare system and FinData. You've heard the presentation from Business Finland about the market access procedures and the different federations that exist. Now we want to hear from you. How did you experience the market access and how do you promote your solutions? And do you have any advice you can give to international entrepreneurs, European entrepreneurs wanting to come to Finland? I hand over.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I'll also share my screen and just use a browser. So this is me. You can find me in LinkedIn, and Louisa told me, of course, I've reposted this event. Louisa told that I'm the fire ambassador of HL7 Finland, but I just this week stepped down from that position. Doesn't mean that I don't do that kind of stuff anymore. It just means that I'm now targeting my efforts more to the European and global arena. And I'm the founder of SensoTrend, a diabetes startup, and work as a volunteer in HL7 circles and plenty of other stuff there. I can add these links later. This is what SensoTrend does. So we make diabetes remote monitoring utilizing dozens of medical devices and hundreds of wellness apps and gadgets. So what Paula already mentioned, I, by the way, can confirm that all of that is not just empty marketing, actually true. We have the common identifier, we have a lot of data available, we have the favorable legislation, and we have favorable attitudes towards research and also towards that, technology. So Paula, for instance, used the Oura Ring. I use that too, and I have soon the watch. And I'm not sure how much you have that in France regarding Withings, for instance, but in Finland it's kind of one way of kind of that engineering spirit that was mentioned, and also we're proud to be technologically advanced. So in SensoTrend, we take advantage of this and take data from all these gadgets and bring them together and then help people with diabetes understand how different factors affect their glucose levels. So that's my background. You heard of FinData already, not much to add there. I can give some more concrete examples of these Kanta-related platforms. So Kanta PHR this is the personal health record. So it's kind of split in two parts. Kanta is the clinical data repository, and then there's the personal health record next to it, and that takes data from all of these devices. So it's not just clinical data, and this is for data that citizens themselves govern and produce. So that was supposed to be an ecosystem of apps, and that was launched in 2016 first time, and first apps joined in 2018. And it's all HL7 Fire based. You have self-registration, all the documentation is in English. So this is a really nice and good platform to get on board and start playing with it. The only negative side is that there's no business model. So it's kind of organized by the Ministry of Social Affairs and Health, and they feel that it's not their role to build a business model on this, and somebody else should do it. But so far, nobody has been able to do that or successful in doing that. So currently, the model is that you can put a lot of data into this platform, and then anybody can take that data from there and utilize it, but you are not compensated in any way. So some work to be done there regarding business model, but the developer experience is really nice. Then we have more recently in last December opened a new API for the clinical part. So now if you're an app developer, you can also, with the permission of the citizen, get access to all of the clinical data, whether that's from primary care, occupational health care, hospitals, all of that is in Kanta, and you can ask, hey, can I please get your data for these purposes? So you can make a patient summary or any kind of analytics, or just help people share their data with ChatGPT or whatever wild ideas you have. So that's a really nice and valuable API. However, most of the documentation for that is in Finnish. And that's kind of my experience that in the last few years, there has been a transition in Finland where increasingly documentation is produced in Finnish. And I don't think that's a good direction. I kind of understand the reasons. We haven't had significant economic growth in Finland for the last 15 years. So we are kind of running out of money, and that's one way of saving in costs, but I don't think it's a good investment. So I kind of invite you, all entrepreneurs in France and bigger companies, to please voice your concerns as well, because just Mikael in Finland saying that I don't think this is the right way, it doesn't have so much impact. But if you would say that, hey, we'd be really interested in coming to Finland and show our products and have our products used there, but we can't because too much of the documentation is in Finnish, then they might listen to that message in different way. So please do check that out. To get rid of that. Then this was mentioned as well. So again, this is available both in Finnish and Swedish, but not in English. So this is the recent tender for digital treatments or digital therapeutics. And they've allocated 1 million euros to this experiment and expecting many tenders from companies. However, there is a glitch here. And again, they say that the company needs to be a Finnish company. Again, we challenged that. The period for submitting questions ended yesterday, and the answers came back today, and they needed to pull the tender back to further evaluation. But one of the points we raised there was that we as startups, for instance, don't want to have this kind of protectionism that we close the borders and only accept Finnish companies to play here. We want to have the global playing field and be successful in a global arena. So again, there is still time. If you're at all interested, get in touch with the organizers and let them know that you'd be interested in applying, but it's wrong to have it limited only to Finnish companies. DigiHTA was mentioned as well in an earlier presentation, and that's again recommendation for me. By all means, do apply. There you can apply in English, and as said, this is provided as a public service, so it's free for you in terms of money. So you don't need to pay for that. You need to put in the effort and send the documentation that's required and so on. But I think it's quite valuable, especially if you're coming to Finland, but it might be valuable for other purposes as well. And if you've done anything like that for Pecan, for instance, I think you have most of the documentation available already. When you are considering coming here, some industry organizations you might reach out to. One is Health Tech Finland, and many companies in this area are members, and Health Tech Finland can point you to relevant partners and help you get established. The other one is Scilab, and that's MedTech Finland. And the difference is that Health Tech has more smaller companies and also Finnish native companies, where Scilab is more of an organization for the country organizations of really big multi-global enterprises like Medtronic and such. So if you're considering opening an office in Finland or looking for representatives in Finland, do reach out to them as well. And then there's HL7 Finland. If you have any technical questions, how to do integrations with electronic health record systems, for instance, or anything like that, that is the association to reach out to. And one more thing, if you're coming to Europe, Finland, do check out the Radical Health Festival. That's where we have most activity. HIMSS Europe used to be in Helsinki before it moved to Paris, and we like to have that kind of a global event, and this Radical Health Festival is the event that we continue with and attempt to lure all of you to Finland and collaborate. I think that's it from me, and happy to join the discussion.
Thank you so much, Mikael. You're a great ambassador of the digital health landscape in Finland, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the results of this pilot that both you mentioned, but also Päivi beforehand on digital health solutions, and to see how we can best converge together to create a single market there for the digital health applications. While we can receive some questions from the audience, if there's any, I also let you react and interact with Paula and Päivi. If you want to ask yourselves questions as well, you can do so now. And normally we receive the questions in the chat, but this morning I haven't seen any yet.
I'm currently filling in the chat. I'm adding the links of the pages I presented.
Thank you.
And I hope that you'll add them as comments in the YouTube recording once you've published that.
Thanks a lot. That's very helpful. And thanks for all the information ideas. For those wanting to export themselves, they have really a lot of information to digest here at once. Perhaps we could just have I will launch the round of questions for now. Päivi and Mikael, could you tell me a little bit how you, for example, if there was a European company wanting to come to Finland, we've seen all the different contact points and so on. Would you think without Finnish knowledge, it would still be possible to actually thrive in the Finnish market, or would it be a good prerequisite to learn Finnish, which is a very difficult language, if I may say so?
I'd say just based on how difficult it is and how limited value it brings you, don't try to learn it unless you have some other justification for doing that. Rather seek out a partner that can help you. And I'm kind of looking this same problem from the other angle. I'm really interested in Peakon framework and the reimbursement of telemonitoring services that you have in France. So if there's anybody coming to Finland, I'd love to collaborate, and I'd help translate all the Finnish stuff to English, and then you'd translate the French stuff for me. So this kind of collaboration is highly appreciated if there's anybody interested.
Yes, I agree with Mikael that we know it's a difficult language, so no one expects you to learn it maybe unless you stay for a decade, maybe then, but not early on. And almost all the services are available in English, and most of us Finns do speak English, and it's not a problem at all if you don't know Finnish, but it is good to have a local partner or someone who knows the kind of ecosystem and business environment here in Finland. So in that sense, maybe hiring a local talent or partner would be useful.
That's really good to hear. Thanks for both your perspectives. I heard from Sweden, from the other webinar we organized, but also Denmark, that actually when you really go on the ground, on the field, you will need the language. But I do think I have this perception that in Finland, you are more or less a bit more flexible than the other Nordic countries. So let's hope it will not be a barrier. And again, thanks for proposing your help, Michael, on the collaborations. I have just another question, but perhaps Vincent has one as well, to Paula on the data from generated by the medical devices, by the digital medical devices. So we know the European Health Data Space will make all the digital medical devices also auto-certify, and there will be lots of obligations, and harmonization will be implemented. I was just wondering whether FinData also collects data generated by digital medical devices as of now, and whether these are available for reuse to get, some idea of the market?
Yes, thanks for the question. FinData does not collect, and also an important thing about FinData is that we are not the data controller of Finnish healthcare data. We're just the authority who grants permits for the use of such data. But then to your question whether this kind of data could be available for secondary use, then it depends on the data controller of the said data. So if it has been recorded, for example, into Kanta patient repository, then it could be available for secondary use, or for example, if it would have been collected for a research project from, for example, well-being services country, then it could be reused for another research project. But yeah, so I think this is maybe a little bit complicated, this answer, but it can be available depending on where on the register in which it has been recorded into, and the data controller of the said register. I hope that gives you some kind of idea. Yeah.
Thank you. That's very clear. And thanks for also clarifying the data controller issue. Aligned with Vincent, we have a question a little bit on this future digital health reimbursement pathway. I was wondering whether companies are actually funded in Finland to actually be part of this pilot, or whether they self-fund to be part of the pilot. And Vincent, if you have other questions, you can do so now.
So in this pilot, the ministry has allocated 1 million euros, and they expect to fund around 10 different companies out of that. So yes, there is funding for this particular pilot. And overall, pilots in Finland vary. Some are non-paid, so no money changes hands. Some you need to bring in the money, and some are actually paid and you get compensated. But in this case, 1 million euros and estimated to be spread about with 10 different companies. And of course, if there's massive interest, for instance, from France, from Germany, then the ministry might get excited that, hey, this is actually a big thing, and the next pilot might be 10 million and then 100 million. But first they need to see that, hey, there is actually appetite for this kind of experiments.
Yeah, I think the question that our companies will have is whether they can also be part of this future pilot, because for now, as I've discussed this week with your ministry, actually, I understood that the first candidates for the pilots obviously are Finnish candidates, but it would be great if you can consider solutions already reimbursed in France or in Germany to also be part of it and see whether they might have to do adaptations in local language, obviously, which is, I guess, the basis for anyways exporting yourself, but it could be interesting to consider that in the next pilots, for sure.
And even for this pilot, as I mentioned, there was a questionnaire period, and now it was pulled back for further refinement. And I would strongly encourage you to give some kind of feedback that, hey, companies that have gone through PCAN in France, for instance, and know something about that would like to come to Finland. And that would be really valuable information for us, because it would be really sad to see totally different reimbursement markets being established, and we need to harmonize those mechanisms as well as we can. So.
Thank you. Vincent, anything you want to add before we close, please?
I'd like to thank all the speakers and all this brilliant information, and thank you all for taking place to this session today, and hope to talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was extremely interesting. I loved how you articulated all of your presentations. This will be available also for replay. That's why we also brought you together. And again, big thanks. And we hope to see you soon, either in Helsinki at the Radical Health Festival or in Paris when you're coming. I guess some of you will be coming for a delegation visit end of this year. So let's keep the cooperation between France and Finland alive. See you soon. Merci encore une fois. C'était un grand plaisir.
Merci. Au revoir.
Bonne journée. Au revoir.